We have Steve Morrison here with us today, and someone that I admire very much for his work, but more so for his character. I'm excited to hear more about his life story, his work, his heart for the orphans. Welcome to the Take 1.5 podcast. This is your host, Minnie.
My name is Steve Morrison. I was orphaned at 6 years old, and I grew up in an orphanage before being adopted at age 14. I blossomed in a family environment. I was interested in space science, space exploration, so I decided to major in astronautical engineering, and then came out to Southern California to work in the aerospace industry. I'm now retired. Before retirement, I worked on the next generation GPS 3 satellites for 20 years from its inception to its launching. I feel really blessed to have contributed much to the development of the next generation GPS satellite. Sometimes my wife kind of jokes me, your GPS kind of took me around in this wrong way. That's not my fault, honey, because we at GPS, we send out all the signals, and it's the map data that these receiver companies that developed it, they didn't program it right.
It's not GPS, it's the receiver.
Yeah.
Okay. That sounds like an amazing career you had for 42 years.
42 years in aerospace industry, my 20 years with GPS 3 satellite system. I feel really grateful because I could contribute to the utility of this amazing system.
Were you always interested in science and space?
When I was a young kid, growing up in orphanage, I really had no purpose. I really had no dream or ambition. So I consequently didn't do really well in my studies. And I remember flunking on my math test. So as a junior high, and also I didn't make any effort. When I came over to America, adopted by the Morrison family, and also I felt secure in the family, something opened up in me. I don't know to this day exactly what happened, but all of a sudden I started to really wanted to study. So something clicked in me.
Wow.
And I remember reading about Neil Armstrong landing on the moon. I was in early teen watching the TV footage in Korea in black and white TV. I remember thinking how neat that was. And also I was interested in astronomy and the universe. When I combined both of them, I want to go into space exploration. I deliberately chose to go to the store that produced most astronauts, and that was Purdue University, which generated Neil Armstrong. So he was sort of like my inspiration.
You said you were adopted to Morrison family when you were 14 years old as a
Right.
teenager. You mentioned that when you came to your family, Morrison family, you felt loved.
Mm-hmm.
So as a teenager, what does that mean? Like what do you mean? Like how did it feel?
I had the experience of having lived with my own family when I was young. And I still remember my biological mother and father being with them. My father's abusive behavior and also alcoholic problems had broken up our family. My mother ran away, and me and my brother were left all alone on the streets. And someone took my brother away to saying that she would raise him up. So I was left all alone on the street. And I was discovered by one gentleman. He took me into an orphanage in Gangwon-do province. And I was there like a few months, and I had one bad leg. So he decided to take me to Holt orphanage. So I grew up in an orphanage, longing for my family of my own. And I saw my friends who were being adopted out of the orphanage into family into United States. And I was always very envious. I wish something like that could happen to me as well. And I know that's the heart of orphans in Korea, to have family of their own. And finally, at age 14, I got the chance to be adopted, and I was really elated. God, by his divine providence, put me into the Morrison family that has adopted biracial child from the same orphanage. Before that, 3 children by birth. So he was the 4th child, and I was the 5th child. I really welcomed being adopted. The family really, really loved me, treated me just the same as their own biological children. Environment of love, comfort, and also the security that I felt, it changed me. I'm going to be okay. And then they also encouraged me to work hard. I too can succeed if I try. And so that was a really amazing experience to go through. So I owe to my parents, Margaret and John Morrison, and to my siblings for making the way for me to succeed. So I really believe in that God really had a purpose for my life.
Over the years, I've heard your story, and you are featured in so many programs in Korea, like 인간극장 and many other programs in Korea, Korean
Yeah, like
news, and
새롭게 하소서, 다니엘 기도회, 이것이 인생이다,
right.
Mm.
And each time I listen to your story, every time is so amazing. I know the person you are. A lot of people look at you and look at your career and say, wow, like amazing. I wish my son become a engineer like him or successful like him. But I see more of story means to you as a human being, not just your career or other successful outcomes. I'm listening to your story about your parents, your John and Margaret Morrison.
Margaret, yeah.
I know that the trauma and the hurt, the effect of that could only be healed by love.
Exactly.
Yeah, by
Yeah.
family.
Yeah, and
I
a lot
truly
of
believe
children,
that.
many adoptees as well, and blame adoption for their misfortunes or unhappiness. But I think that was already begun when they were abandoned or given up for adoption by their birth parents.
I see.
think that is the major source of pain. I think if there was such a pain.
Yeah.
And so adoption is a means to put the brokenness together and help them grow up as healthy, heal the pain that was there before. But unfortunately, many adoptees kind of look at this as adoptee as something that robbed them of something. But it was meant to be build them up. In my case, it truly was because I knew what it was like to live with the biological family being abused. But I know totally different life that the Morrison family provided me. And that really changed my life.
Do you think that those adoptees who are still hurting from adoption is because their experience is different than yours?
Of course, I have to acknowledge that not all adoption is a Cinderella story like mine. Some adoptees were unfairly abused by their adopted parents, physically or, sexually, and verbal attacks and things like that. Really feel sorry for them. They have to go through, but also realize there are a lot of children born into this world living in with their biological families. They also suffer. So I'm not sure whether we can call it adoption is to blame. It's the people. As long as you live with people, original tendency to sin and bring about hurt in other people. And that is the call. I really feel sorry for all those adoptees that have gone through such tragic pain. But at the same time, I know many, many more adoptees who have been blessed through adoption. The way to look at this is that just because adoption brings some people tragedy and painful experience, that all adoption should be stopped. And so I don't agree with that. Kids that are born in a normal family environment and they're abused, they're neglected. So should we pass a law that forbids childbirth? You can't really read out perfect parents or even perfect children. All these human dynamics that happen, it's unfortunate that some bad things happen, but it's fortunate that so many other children have benefited from adoption. I remember meeting a couple of friends who were adoptees, and they themselves were abused when they were under adopted parents. What really impressed me about them was that they look at the whole adoption as a big picture. Just because their experience did not turn out well. A lady named Kelly Burr. And she said, even though my adoption wasn't good, I know there are so many more children who have benefited from adoption. And that's why I support. I was so touched with that. She herself was abused and didn't have a good experience, but she's still supported because it still does a whole lot of good to so many other kids.
So tell us about your work. Currently, you're retired from your aerospace engineering position for how many years? Few years now, right?
Well, just 3 years now,
3 years.
maybe four, going on fourth year.
Oh, wow. Okay. And now you're a full-time
Working
director?
for MPAK, my organization that I founded many, many years ago. In the early days of MPAK, we promoted adoption, nationals in Korea promoting domestic adoption, and also by the Korean Americans living in the United States. Folks, it's time that we step up and adopt our own children. And so many domestic adoptions have occurred, and many Korean American adoptees, such as yourself, you and Ben, have adopted. And so it gives me such a great joy in seeing so many children being adopted and having families of their own. And so, but the generation changes, ages come and go, laws come and go. And what used to be very open and adoptive friendly environment in Korea has pretty much come to a halt, mainly because there's such a great population decline in Korea. And the number of children being given up for adoption has really significantly gone down. And so domestic adoption is pretty much taken over all those number of children. I've always advocated children need homes, whether domestic or foreign, they need families over living in institutions. Over the years, the culture has changed, policy has changed, the adoption laws has changed. Right now, hardly any children can be adopted from Korea overseas. And even domestic adoption has significantly dropped. What used to be like over 1,000 or 2,000 adoptions occurring, it has dwindled down to hundreds, maybe less than 100 this year for intercountry adoption, and maybe several hundreds within domestic adoption.
Wow.
Yeah, so there's just not enough available children to be adopted, mainly because of population decline. And unwed mothers have become more educated and sophisticated in birth control, which is a good thing. One thing that I find unfortunate is that there's been a lot of abortions taking place in Korea. And so Korea continues to worry about population decline. And for the first time in many years, they just turned the corner. Birth rate has slightly increased, but I think great majority of children are being really aborted, and
Is it legal to have abortion in Korea?
I believe they have
Certain
passed the
terms.
law. Yeah, they have passed a law to make it legal, but then abortion has always taken place, behind the door. Regardless, significant reduction in the number of children available has really caused pretty much a virtual stop on intercountry adoption. So agencies are no longer taking any applications anymore, and they're kind of dwindling down their last remaining pipeline of parents that they have signed on, and by assigning children. But once all those children are assigned and sent abroad, adoption agencies will no longer do the adoption work. By July 1st, 2025, we will be taken over by NCRC, National Center of Children's Rights of Children. It's an umbrella organization under Ministry of Health and Welfare in Korea. They're taking over everything related to adoption duties. All the adoptions will be done by the government, central government. They say that they're doing it in the name of adhering to Hague Convention on Children. I think they're just taking it to extreme, because in the United States, which we ratified the Hague Treaty, the government monitor to audit those agencies, and that's all they do. They didn't take away the existence of private adoption agencies. In Korea, they're using it to really essentially shut down all the adoption agencies.
So the government will oversee domestic and international adoption
Yeah.
if there is any. 동방 or Holt, or they'll be all closed down or
They will be,
not operating.
I think they'll be giving some subsidiary type of contract to like a home study, maybe post-adoption services, but they won't be doing the main adoption process and duties anymore.
So this will be governmental.
Just imagine adoption being run by DMV or,
Yeah. Yeah.
it's just,
Why is that? Well, I mean, you mentioned the Hague Convention, but why is that
there's a
when
strong,
that extreme?
yeah, there is a strong distrust by the government against adoption agencies that they're doing it for profit motive. And there's also a campaign by a lot of anti-adoption factors, people who are against adoption that have campaigned over the years to make this, law come true. I've always advocated foreign adoption intercountry should only stop when there are no more children to be sent abroad.
Right.
But it has come to that level, but not in the way that I wanted. You know what I'm saying? That domestic adoption was really improved, that all the children are adopted domestically. In this case, it's the main thing is the law changes that is pretty much stopping overseas adoption. Many children are still being sent into the institutions, which I find it very sad.
So if they're not adopted, and it sounds like it's going to be even harder or adopted parents to adopt from Korea internationally.
Yeah.
And the domestic adoption is rising, but not really. There's not really children, but if there are children, their first destination is orphanage, then a home.
Yeah. So, which is unfortunate. And domestic adoption has also decreased over the years. There's also a gender selection that
Yes.
prefers girls, like a 70 to 30%,
Yeah.
girls over boys. A lot of dynamics and variances that slows down adoption.
I always thought it was such a complicated topic issue of Korea because everything has changed in Korea. Regarding child welfare, adoption, home, family support, things like this.
Yeah.
So now that all this, the climate has changed and changing very rapidly, what is the main focus of MPAK these days?
Okay.
MPAK stands for
Mission to promote adoption of kids. So right now the adoption portion is kind of going away, but our passion is still with children in Korea. So one of the things that I noticed by visiting lots of orphanages in the years, and what I noticed was that these children, they go to school, but their education level is very limited. There's no stimulus because they're not in homes. They have no parents stimulate them to persuade them to study, to do the homeworks. Because of that, kids just are running around rampantly, only looking at their smartphone for games and things like that.
no supervision.
No supervision. That's the right word. There's also inquiry, Human Rights Commission, which forbids all these orphanage workers from disciplining those children. If their kids are misbehaving, the hands of these social workers in orphanages are really tied. And a lot of times kids, they threaten them by saying that I'm going to report you to the Human Rights Commission. And some kids, kids are kids, and some of them lie. And some adults get into trouble. They're totally tied down on what they can do. They cannot supervise them or even discipline them. I believe it's so unfair to tie them down like that, because kids living in regular biological family environment, their parents are always at them, always supervising, disciplining their children. So that's how children learn from right from wrong, right? The orphanage workers they're limited in what they can do. So all these children grow up without academic guidance, failing in their school. And yet they're being elevated year by year. When they grow up, they age out of their high school and they go into society totally unprepared to face the world, to get a job, or even go to college. So I find that so unfortunate. What we decided to do was to raise some funds, and we selected 3 different orphanages. We will fund one-on-one mentor tutor program for these kids that are willing to study. So we sponsored 3 orphanages with that program. And we have about 50 kids now that we're helping. So we raise funds here in the United States. We give the funds to the orphanage directors, and they in turn use the funds to hire mentor tutors to teach their children with their schoolwork, their homeworks, test preparation twice a week. The result has been amazing.
Yeah.
A girl who was getting F in English, she's getting B minus. A kid who couldn't focus and read, he was able to read in 6 months.
Wow.
And so all these great improvements that we're making. And so I see that such a great result out of those orphanages. What's really good about this tutor program is that the teachers come to the level where students are struggling with and start from there. So if a 6th grader is having only like a 4th grade math level, he starts with 4th grade math level and goes from there. Many orphanage kids are being sent to academics, but it's not one-on-one. It's like a one-to-many.
Right.
And in that setting, these kids are lost.
Sure.
They can't even, they can't
Right.
follow. These kids, they can ask any sorts of questions without being afraid of asking dumb questions or being ridiculed. And they get the answer right away from the teacher. And that's what they really liked. And also another thing that they commented was, finally, I have someone who cares about me, who's willing to sit down with me for 1 whole hour, and he's just for me, no one else, but just for me. So that has really helped them to gain confidence and psychologically, really help them. We're seeing a lot of improvements. So we would like to gather all these data one by one. And I want to take it to the Korean government.
Sure.
And say, you need to do this to all 267 orphanages with this program and show them the results of what we did the past 3 to 4 years. Hopefully they'll be convinced. And another thing that we're doing is for each of the orphanages that we support, we want to invite 2 most improved kids from each orphanage through this program, and with 1 adult, invite them to the United States. And so they're going to be coming mid-February.
Oh, this year.
Yeah, this year. We will, take them to like UCLA, take them to Disneyland, Universal, tour the LA area, and also have family living experience. Take them to the Western United States, like Grand Canyon, all these great places that they always heard of it, but they never gone to. So I call this MPAK Student Vision Program.
Wonderful.
Yeah, this is for 2 reasons. 1, to reward them for their hard work, but also at the same time to inspire that are still in orphanages. Wow, I can also go to America if I tried really hard. It's like a reward and motivation purpose. And so we're really excited about that.
That is exciting. Wow. That's really wonderful.
Yeah, thank you. In addition to helping those orphans, and we are also working with a couple of organizations to help teenagers that are aging out of orphanages. Next month, they have a big conference on Aged Out Orphan Conference, where I have been invited to give a keynote speech. So I plan to go there and encourage them. We have a great number of adoptive families, and these kids need a lot of, fellowship. So we have camps for adoptive families, educational opportunities for them. We have picnics. We have Christmas gathering. We have fundraising gala where they can participate. We have all these things where it'll bring the adopted families together. And the common denominator is that they have all adopted children and their children are with them. We explore how they can better raise their children by having, seminars, things like that. So they really enjoy it. And we really take pride in serving the adoptive family community here. And at the same time, reaching out to kids that have not been adopted and helping them with their one-on-one mentor tutor education.
You're covering a large ground. That's really
Yeah.
wonderful. I
Yeah.
had experience, Sarah
Mhm.
Coe. She brought some aging out children. I think they were all in high school to our local families here.
Oh, I know her. She's wonderful.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yes. So we met a few of them, and one of them said, "Oh, I wish I could flush down my passport so I don't have to go back."
Yeah.
When
Yeah.
after they experience the families here.
Yeah.
And I was sitting with one of them, and I said, I don't even remember what I said. Something like very passing, like,
Yeah.
"Oh, that's wonderful. You did great," or something like that, right?
Mhm.
And she looked at me saying, "Oh, wow. I never heard anybody say that to me." I think you're right. Like that one-on-one time with
Yeah.
someone who's giving them undivided attention for
Exactly.
1 hour per
Yeah.
week or
Two
two
times a
hours a
week.
week, that could change. May not become a aerospace engineers, but
Yeah.
they know that they are valuable
Love. Yeah.
human being.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
Wow.
And
So
it is
these.
my goal that these kids will be motivated to study, learn how to study through this experience, that they choose to go to college, find jobs. That's the true way for them to kind of age out and be
Yeah,
independent and stand in the
independent.
society. Yeah.
Right,
Yeah.
exactly.
Yeah.
Independent, good member of the society, exactly.
Yeah.
And who could do that by yourself? Nobody. You need
Yeah.
other people to supporting you and believing in you and cheering you on,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah. Yeah. Somebody believed in me when I was an orphan and I was adopted. They didn't have to adopt me. And here I was, 14-year-old, troublemaking age. And who would be crazy enough to do that? But that changed my life. I do what I do through MPAK because I'm grateful that I've been blessed. I don't want to forget that I was once a little boy that was in need of somebody. And thank God that He has blessed me with such a great parents and family that I can do this.
The one point that I really do admire about you is that you don't forget where you came from and
Yes.
what your responsibility is for
Yeah.
other children
Yeah.
in that place. I know you wanted to mention about the article that came out today. What was the
Adam
title?
Crafter. Yeah.
Hmm.
Adam
Can you update
Crafter.
us on what's going on there?
Yeah, Adam Crafter was adopted when young, and he didn't quite work out well with his adopted families. But in the process, the parents never filed for citizenship. But in the process, he committed some crimes. When the police caught him, they checked his background and realized that he was adopted, but he still didn't have the citizenship, and so they decided to deport him.
So because it
So
was illegal by their terms, right?
yes, yeah,
Yeah.
because they entered the country legally and legally adopted, and there's some oversight. They should give some consideration that when I came over, adoption agency sent my parents step-by-step instruction on how to get citizenship.
Sure.
So I got 3 years after I arrived, I got citizenship. Those kind of procedures are in place. However, his biggest problem was that he committed crimes. A couple of lawyers and professors who came to his aid said, "You gotta sue Holt International." And at the first trial, he won, but the Holt
Right. What ground did he sue Holt
that
International
they sent him to
Unfit
intercountry
Family?
adoption. Yeah, and also that they were responsible for having him being deported. Or maybe did not check on him whether he was deported or not.
See.
So but Holt appealed decision, And the court decided that you are responsible for your own actions. And so they decided not to side with him and turned the case over, gave the victory to Holt. So to me, I think it's a totally justified ruling, but still there should be some sort of an exception given. Allow him to have the citizenship, not kick him out. But then him suing Holt for that, I don't think that's justified. And so I think the court found that he is really liable for himself for the mistakes that he made. Yeah.
That's terrible. What is he doing? Is he in
I
jail? What
believe,
is he doing?
no, he's in either US or Mexico. I heard that he was
okay.
in Mexico and then he went to Korea for this trial.
That is so unfortunate.
But I agree with the ruling.
Yeah, I mean, that's one thing, but for the fact that he doesn't have a country,
Yeah.
he's not neither welcome in the US or Korea, it sounds like.
Yeah.
And
It's unfortunate. Yeah.
that is so sad. The adoption law changes all the time in the US too. So when we were going through adoption in New Jersey, as long as they are adopted into our family legally, they automatically become U.S. citizens. And what we had to get was
that's Child Citizenship Act of 2000.
yes, after 2000.
Yeah.
But
At that time, if you're under 18, you are qualified. But if you were born before February 1983, then you don't qualify. Yeah.
But the thing was, so that's how we did it. American birth certificate, which was accepted everywhere as, of course, a legal document.
Yeah.
But since this case, Adam's case,
Yeah.
we all got very anxious, especially once with boys.
Yeah.
Because of the Korean military and all these things. So even for us, we went ahead spending thousands of dollars afterwards to get our boys American citizenship, like a legal American citizenship, even as if the certificate wasn't good enough.
Yeah.
So a lot of families went that route after.
Yeah.
But it's so unfortunate that's just heartbreaking.
Regarding this whole adoption citizenship, if I was to place blame, I would blame the United States government for 50%, adopted parents 30% because they have not gone through the process. And also 20% to the adoptee who committed crime. He has to take some responsibility. And that's what the court did.
Very interesting. I mean, my boys are all grown now, but many adoptive parents that I talk to, we're the first generation, almost like first generation Korean American adoptive families.
Yeah.
So that now all of our children are all grown. Different questions come to our mind. So protecting them legally is one of them.
If there are any adoptees out there without citizenship, please work with the lawyer or nonprofit organizations that can help you filing the adopted citizenship.
Yeah, protect yourselves. Now you have how many children? 5?
I have 5 children.
They're all grown now. Your child rearing age is coming to an end, but you adopted 2 of your children.
Yeah. 3 by birth and 2 by adoption. And they're doing great. Oftentimes, like other kids, they're pain in the neck. But, kids are kids, and they're still my sons, my boys and girls.
Yep, same with us. Yeah.
And I use this illustration where adopting a child is like carrying on a backpack in your back, going up on a mountain for a hike. And so at first you feel like you can do it, and you started feeling the weight. It started sweat and huff and puff. And at some point you stop and overlook the scenery, see how beautiful it is. You keep going, but sometimes you kind of feel like, did I do the right thing? Did I do the right thing? Should I go back down? Those kind of thoughts are so natural. I mean, it happens even your biological children, not just adopted. You just wish that sometimes they were not around.
Right.
Yeah. You keep on pressing with the load that you have. Keep pressing, and you come to another point and where you talk to God. God, did I do the right thing? And He'll say, yes, you did the right. Every time I had a problem, I would pray to God. And every time God would say, Steve, you did the right thing. Keep on going. Like keep going over the mountain, climbing up, and just all this arduous climbing. At times, I'm still thinking, did I do the right thing? Should I go back down? No, God would not be happy with that. So I keep up going, and pretty soon I reached the top summit.
Mm-hmm.
And at the summit, I look all of the valley, and I look at the load that I brought up. I hear the voice in my heart. See, you did the right thing. 그리고 I hear myself saying, I did good.
Mm-hmm.
I did the right thing. It was really hard. It was really sweaty and painful,
Yeah.
but I did the right thing.
Mm-hmm.
That's how I feel about my two boys that I
Yeah.
adopted. Lots of pain in the past,
Mm.
but you keep pressing on. But in the end, they're going to make you proud and happy.
Mm. Wow, you're making me tearing up.
Yeah.
That's a beautiful illustration and so accurate and very
Right.
encouraging. Very
Yes.
encouraging.
Yeah.
But a lot of people who are not in the adoption community who's listening or watching, what can they do? They hear you sharing about wonderful work and very important work that MPAK is doing. Well, how can we participate?
Well, first and foremost is I need all their prayers. Their prayer would be greatly appreciated. And if they have some room with their resources, maybe they can support. Go to our website, mpac.com, click on the donate button. They can support.
MPAK, right?
Yeah,
MPAK.com.
MPAK.com.
Mm-hmm.
Support us financially and continue to and check our website and follow up with what we do. More than anything, that all the children without homes find homes. They deserve to be in homes more than any other places and be given a chance to blossom on their own. That's my dream.
That's a fabulous dream. Yes, so check out MPAK.com
Yeah.
for any updated need or support or
Yeah.
news. And you could donate there and become
Yeah. And we're a
supporters.
501c3 nonprofit organization.
Well,
Yeah.
something to look forward to. So people check out MPAK for updates and ways to support. Is there any message that you would like to share?
Just looking at my life and lives of many other adoptees, comparing to those children that have not been adopted, I truly feel adoption is an opportunity. It provides an opportunity to have homes of their own, families of their own, mother, father that they could call, chance to be loved, accepted, chance to get great education, hordes of opportunities are available for them. Adoption is really all about opportunity. Opportunity has been given to many adoptees. Unfortunately, that opportunity for children in orphanages are very limited. We're doing something to help them to get better opportunity in the future by doing the one-on-one mentor-tutor program. Children need opportunities. They need a chance at life. They deserve to have families of their own if they can. And if not, at least provide some opportunities for them to be like normal kids in the society. That's still my passion and passion of MPAK.
You devote your life for the children who need our attention and love and help. So
Yeah.
thank you for doing that. I appreciate your time and being here and sharing with us your heart.
My pleasure. Bless you.
Truly.
Bless what you do, man. Thank you.
Thank you so